Hello, this is Lisa Lee, and welcome to my channel. We're going to be tapping into the energy of this supermoon. It's a supermoon in Taurus, and I've been trying to wrestle with not wrestle with the energy, but I always sit and I meditate and I kind of feel into the currents and the energies like of an astrological moment in time when I'm doing astrology readings. Like, I don't know anything about the nuts and bolts of like how it all comes together. I'm simply like playing with the energy. And it's a tense, like weird mix. Like on the one hand, there's like a resolute, it's grounded. I feel grounded. I feel like glued to the earth with like a resolute sort of sense of what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and like what needs to be put into it. But then I feel underneath it is this groundswell of that it's opposite. It's opposite the sun in Scorpio is basically the power of the supermoon, which is like this big beaver supermoon. Gorgeous, like very close to the earth, very insistent energy, but it's got this tension baked in. We're opposite the sun in Scorpio. Is that right? Yeah. So it's kind of like this tension of like resolute, but like, oh my God, emotional, like fear, or not just fear, like emotional, like the current of the emotion of the Scorpio energy is like bringing passion into what needs to be done. But it's also like deep insecurities, like deep fears, deep convictions, so there's a lot there emotionally, like in the depths, that's coming up to meet the demands of what everyone in one way or another is feeling needs to be done in their lives. And so like there's brightness around this, there's clarity around this. And so each of us has something coming up for us right now, and I want you to focus on what that something is for you around I have to get this done. And then like whatever the emotions are, because it's like a groundswell, like, I have to have this dream. I need this thing. Like this has to be like whatever the emotional groundswell is, we have to sort of listen to both aspects. And that's what we're going to be tapping into today with the cards. What? This is intense. Sometimes a song will come through and I keep on getting this one song. I don't know what it is because it's from like I don't know where these things come from. Like when something channels in, like there's no way something will channel in without having a frame of reference in my mind, because that frame of reference is like the form that it takes. So I have to have like encountered something, seen something, had an experience, something, reached a certain depth in order to access certain information. But it's going to come through my own like frame, my own perspective. So I must know this from somewhere, but I, for the life of me, would swear that I don't, right? Like I don't remember ever hearing the song. I don't know where it could possibly be coming from. I have no reference point that I can access, and I can't even get it clear. It's like radio station static. And then when I go to like dial it all the way in, I still can't get the lyrics. But it's like, have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Yeah. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? And that's been coming through our readings. Like, I think the last like 2 readings it came through, like popped through. And I'm hearing it very, very, like as clear as it's been now. But I still only have like just this little one, like, and I don't know, like, I can't tell you a decade. Look at that. Agape. I can't tell you a decade. Agape. With the amethyst there falling forward. Let's start with that card. Usually I would kind of like do a overall. I like the warrior here over in the corner at the bottom of the deck. This warrior card is like your championship, like warrior heart. We will find out what that means. Your wisdom, the diamond here. The snake around what you think you're capable of. This snake is, for at least one of you, significant, but this snake is here. I can't stop seeing it move in the warrior landscape. The rainbow, white buffalo. I'm seeing a lot of movement in this bottom of the deck. There's so much symbolism coming through here that I'm getting a little bit like entranced by it. So you are entering the phase of development, where the rainbow, what has been and I'm getting like a specific thing about the rainbow. I'm seeing a rainbow over a white desert. I'm seeing a rainbow um, over, I guess it's the waters. It's Noah and the ark. So there's a story with that is the floods came, they devastated everything, and then there was this liminal period of like, was all of the effort to survive, and in fact surviving, even going to pay off, even be worth it? And like, what am I even looking at in terms of a new horizon? And so for those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know that I'm very into, like, I like really cool like strains of theology. Like, I'm obsessed with a lot. I have a lot of special interests in a lot of different things, all spirituality, but like at far reaches. And like one of my favorite theology things is death of God theology. Like I love that forever. And so when we think about, you know, that moment at the foot of the cross with death of God theology, I encourage you to look it up. It's food for thought, right? There's this moment where I think every person who has ever believed something with all of their heart and mind and soul, above everything else that they experienced, anyone who has put belief above experience, which is always a perilous thing to do, has had that encounter with the divine, has had that encounter with God, has had that encounter with their belief where it fails them. Foot of the cross moment. My God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus gets all the way. You know, like Jesus is standing up to the Roman Empire day after day, week after week, looking at the Roman soldier with a arrow trained on his chest as he says things that are against the law. Jesus has been having these experiences, like on the mountainside, healing a person, looking at a Roman soldier, being like, kill me if you dare. While the Roman soldier is moved by whatever is happening, whatever the scene in the story is, enough to not kill him. Over and over again. He keeps on breaking the law. Over here, over there, over everywhere, right? And so when we think about that story as culminating with a failure of mission, where this God, who is half God, half human, who is walking the earth, like demonstrating, saying, here, look, I can prove to you the spiritual realm is real. I can prove to you there's more than what you're looking at. I can prove to you that the dominion from which you are like breaking under is in fact an illusion. Jesus is walking around like boom, 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 like, you know, knocking it out of the ballpark. We know who he is because of this. But at the end of that story, we have him on a cross, hanging and bearing the worst death that you could possibly bear. You know, like there's no, I wouldn't say the worst, right? Let's be careful about stuff like that. But I would say like a really bad, you know, way to go. Humiliation is like to have that humiliation above everything else in the way of pain, but to also have the humiliation. The death on the cross is a death of great humiliation. You know, that's a moment, right? So my God, why have you forsaken me? How many times have we believed something all the way? Oh my God, I put everything into this. I believed that this was the way that the world worked. I believed that this was the way that, you know, people are. I believed that this is what love was. Only to have that moment of why have you forsaken me? Now, the cool thing about that story is afterwards there's a pivot, and then it's your opportunity at a true encounter with God only comes after belief has failed for one reason or another. And we will talk a lot about belief in like lecture series that I'm going to create. I'm doing it all. It's taking a while. I just moved. But like, my God, why have you forsaken me? And where your belief fails you is a moment where you have a true encounter with God. Why? Because the power of your belief, the conviction of your will, the strength of your magic was somehow not enough to overcome this one thing, this one circumstance, this one truth that you could not look away from, that actually graduates you into a broader perspective wherein now you're ready to see what actually is and what you're capable of and what your potential is and what this relationship with the Father, like the God, you know, is. And so like when we start over here with agape, we are looking at this is like the light of the Spirit. If you look at this card right down the middle, we're looking at the light of the Spirit, right? And so that's going to be the anointing. That's going to be the Holy Spirit, the voice of God within. the love that never leaves you, the love that you cannot be separated from, the love that you're one with. Agape love is it's a love that's even hard to, like, it's really hard to even like nail it and really explain what it is. But it's the spirit that how do you explain these things? Like, how do you actually get these concepts to words? But the light that is the light that is your light, the light that you are one with, and that force of nature within your nature that wakes you up in the morning, that gets you from one thing to another, that picks you off the floor, that gives you the laughter that moves through you and like you give way to, that gives you the love that you can't deny, that gives you the insight, the thoughts, the whole experience of life. And there's a force of love that is like behind that. That's agape. And so when we think about the mirror, seeing who you are, truly who you are, look at this full moon here. We're talking about this energy of the full moon in Taurus. Supermoon, full supermoon in Taurus. And we have a mirror here. And that's going to be like a clear sight, and especially to the depths of who you are, which is that opposition to the sun in Scorpio. The Father is the limits. It's the Saturn. It's what you can't negotiate with. It's the God that reveals itself when your belief about God turns out not to be true. It's the thing that you can't argue with and that you have to, in some way or another, come under some form of submission, surrender with. Dead end. That's going to be something that it's the dead end. Again, like I feel like this, the limits of, finding the limits of, finding the ground of. There's something comforting about gravity. And this speaks of gravity. Gravity is the limits of. You can't fly. I see Peter Pan. I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. Peter Pan, I can fly. I see astral travel. I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. But the limits thereof to your walking around in the body. You've got a body and your body has limits. The experience of this dimension has limits. The experience of this dimension has like cause for a warrior to emerge from whatever it is that you're made of, whatever it is that you were meant to become. This is a phase of being that which does not stay down when knocked down. And there is a function to that snake. There's a function. What is that noise? Did you hear that? Tick tock, tick tock. So, I'm just listening because I have, sometimes an ambient sound will like resonate for me as something more than just an ambient sound. I put my table together after the move, and I think that I did it in a way that was not as it's wobbly. It's become kind of a wobbly divination table. That tells me that there's movement in what we're seeing. There's cause for Ace of Swords, the truth being told, and the Judgment in reverse. Huh. And the slowness of pace also sort of reversing as I move. So reversal means nuance. It doesn't mean the opposite for me. Everybody reads differently, but as it sort of dances before me, with the Three of Wands, and this is moving. I see the plane here. And there's a sensation in the body that's almost like a nausea. Not a nausea, but there's a soul, there's something happening at the level of the soul. Something being pulled out almost at the level of soul that is kind of almost causing a vertigo of soul, a dizziness of soul. I see nausea, I was trying to nail the feeling, and it's so foreign to me. It's from another dimension, right? So I'm feeling this feeling at the soul level that is just there's a reorientation here at the level of soul. The dead end means there's a reason for the pause, there's a reason for the stop, there's something that is yet to emerge, something that brings us out of the limitations that we're currently experiencing by way of seeing ourselves. And so with the bottom of the deck, Eight of Wands in reverse, there's something here about pause, lean in, a narrowing of focus. There's the static of a lot of radio stations at once, a lot of voices coming in. I'm hearing a like a message board of sounds coming through, and there's a pause on that. What's going on? Something with frequency, the data and the pause, the limits therein, a sense of ourselves, there's something emerging, the truth here that is being delivered, but in the absence of judgment, something that is moving at a irregular pace that's kind of grounding us. So there is something here like future sight information coming through. In the form of a message. Okay. Some action is being taken here. Some protected action is being taken here. Okay, so that was like a non sequitur of our message that came through. It was kind of like, I think, more global or maybe even more social. Could apply. But yeah, there's something here that is like being loosened up in the way of perspective. You know, where with the Ten of Cups and the Star card, with the Ten of Cups and the Star card being about emotional fulfillment at the level of like inclusion. That's what the Ten of Cups here is. Emotional fulfillment at the level of inclusion, emotional fulfillment at the level of belonging. There's been a lot of fracturing. And some of this like emotional stuff that's coming up, you know, for some of you, you might be feeling like the strain of where the fractures existed for you in the way of lack of support in one way or another. A push out of a traditional family support system into a broader support system that proved to be like black and white. You know, when it comes to the agonies associated, I'm sorry the heater is on. I just realized that the sound is going to be what it is, right? When it comes to the Ten of Cups, like I'm seeing an array of things with this card, but our disappointments at the level of love start in the home, start in family, and they also kind of set the parameters of what we think is possible, or and this is such a wonky thing, and it's coming through a little bit like hard to wrangle, so I need to just kind of center. But our capacity to hold love and receive love does in large measure come with like at some it's painful to say, but experience with, you know, we need experience with things in order to learn how to navigate and orient and work with, like in order to have experience, like in order to learn how to play the piano really proficiently, where you can play it by ear, hear a song and like immediately translate it into the sound that you are perceiving. In order to really understand a substance, a alchemy, a thing, there is a need for experience with it. And so we get that capacity from family and the disappointments with love, which are always there, and the presence of love with those things. That love is never a pure substance. It always comes with intimacy, and intimacy always exposes us to the wounds that the person has that we love, that we're somehow then subject to. And so, you know, we think of love as like failing when it is accompanied by levels of like manipulation or abuse, but it's in the mix. It's a part of the alchemy, and we have to look at where it was, what it did, and how it transformed you in that space in order to see the value of it, not whether it like succeeded or failed at the level of like some story about it, right? And so with this Ten of Cups being like, you know, where you were pushed out of the family to seek the kind of love that you wanted to be a part of, but then didn't really find it in the world in the way that you expected. And so like that overall blockage is being removed at this level of agape, a new kind of way of seeing love that now infuses you, who you think you are, what you think you are meant for, and what you feel it is to be loved. The limits of, like, you know what I mean? Like there's something here about stop. The way that you're looking at it is wrong. The reason that you feel the way that you do about it is not because, you know, love can't find you, or success can't find you, or freedom can't find you. It's that the stories that you hold about what it means to have these things are changing at the level of inspiration, at the level of your core. And so these blockages are being removed, and it's allowing for a major healing. But this is not a result of lots of things coming in and zip zap zappity doo and like all the information and like synthesis. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is like a focusing, a quieting down, a moving into like a more the warrior reacts, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. The warrior reacts, but the and that's when like a lot is coming at you, and you have to kind of like triage. What are you going to work with? What are you going to do? How are you going to? There's a way that you have been trained and conditioned that we are seeing a change here with this other kind of recognition related to the comfort of the limits and like the appreciation for gravity. So I don't know, that seems kind of like all over the place. That doesn't seem very clear, but we're going to have to pull some cards to get clearer, because it speaks to, something that you have been waiting for a really long time is now kind of yours at the ready. There's no more waiting here. There's no more moving towards here. It's a truth that comes in without judgment, that allows you to see the picture that you're looking at about your growth as completely different. Look at this card. You see that cat? There's something growing behind that cat, and reflected. Yeah, this is an important. If you're listening, it's a good time to just pause so that you can come and look at this. You see how the cat is seeing this is a projection, right? Think of this as your capacity to create and project something that, oh yeah, this is so important. Let me try to get this right. Okay. I want you to think about that as being the spirit realm right there in the frame. And I want you to think about this cat as being in prayer and praying. I want to see who God is. I want to see who God is. I want to see the face of God. I want to see the face of God. And the face of God is this wild flower growing behind the cat, where the cat can't see it because it's not within the cat's gaze to see what this flower behind it that is growing is. But with the prayer emerging is a picture of what it is. So there's some kind of a way in which this relationship between what you're projecting and what you're bringing in by way of inspiration is showing you the truth of a spiritual reality here with the Father. That's interesting. And this is a divine masculine aspect of God. Divine masculine aspect of God is going to be outside of you. Divine feminine aspect of God is going to be from within you. And the name of the game and the code is union, right? And so some of you will understand what that means and some of you won't. But there's something here about your potential coming into view with the energies that are at play here with the supermoon. And cards are falling. Six of Swords. I saw a plane twice. I see a plane here. And I see a plane here. So there's two things coming through with this. One, air traffic, significant. Obviously, we see it. We see things grounded. Because you have this is Six of Swords, movement. And this is Three of Wands, waiting for movement. And we do see that with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, there's also a not moving, a grounded. So it's like we're in the super moon in Taurus, and there's a lot of flights that are grounded. There's a lot of things that want to come into fruition for you. There's a lot of things that you want to bring into fruition for yourself. There's a lot of dreams that want to ground. There's something about this moment in time being like everything's grounded, dead end. There's a stop. But there's something about that creates this. There's still a movement in whatever this pause ends up being. And it's a movement there's simplicity here. So you see this modern airplane, and within it is its original form. You think about within the acorn that turns into the tree, the seed holds the seed holds the tree, right? The idea of an airplane This is stuff that sometimes I'll see these visions and I'll be like, I do not know how to translate that. But there's probably a saying or a religious something. There's certainly a within every building there's a blueprint. Within every like acorn is a tree. Within every zygote is the full body, the full lifespan. If it, whatever the lifespan is, not even full, like is the lifespan. Like there's something here about like within within this standstill, like the original form is making itself known. There's something coming through. It's okay if not everyone understands you. With the Four of Pentacles. It's okay not to be understood. It's okay if they don't understand. There seems to be this conflict here with the Two of Swords in reverse. But the Two of Swords in reverse is a mental block unblocking, a revelation, an epiphany, the truth without judgment. You've been holding on to a lot with very little for a long time here with the Four of Pentacles. And sometimes that can make us into a little bit of a tyrant, especially around our voice. I can feel myself kind of coughing with this. You may be addicted to frenetic energy in order to cope with having to hold a lot with very little. The warrior here speaks to like being a companion to transformation, being in companionship with the destroyer in some ways with the warrior here. You carry the seed of wisdom, like that's the tree. I'm seeing like the seed to what you're meant to be, to who you truly are. There are stories about you. This is an important thing that you want to hear. Your guide is showing me something so beautiful. I want you to think about what the deities are, what the demigods are, what the cosmology of the we, of the whole that we are a part of. We are an ecosystem, which means our lifespan is not one lifespan. It is many in many different forms. We are part of a circulating from matter into potential and from potential into matter system. It's a circulatory system of energy and like experience, really. You don't ever die. You're a part of this whole breathing in of destruction and creation. Breathing out, like breathing in destruction, breathing out creation. We're part of it. We're moving. We're cycles. That's where we get our sense of ourselves as infinite more than anything else. Even if we are very like non-believer type of people, we have that. You're part of that circulatory system, which means that like whatever breathed you into life and can breathe you out of life will breathe you into life again in a different form. And so I say that because I want you to get a hold of this notion of yourself as being infinite and to be in relationship with your infinite self, because I see that here, the limits of a lifespan, but the sense of the self, the perception of the self, that mirror where you're like, wait a minute, like I am a part of that circulatory system. I'll be back in a jiffy. You know what I mean? Like that, the Six of Swords is about like this type of travel. And so, when I feel this Four of Pentacles energy of like, yes, like, you are, I feel like a little chicken cracking out of the egg, like letting go of this former sense of yourself within this egg and sticking your head out into a broader place, about what you really are and who you really are. That's going to be changing your relationship to destruction as a relationship where you feel like you're supposed to fight it and defeat it, and it shouldn't be this way. You should be preserving the thing that you love. You should be preserving, the comfort zone. You need to be preserving the safety into a relationship with the destroyer where you recognize that every experience is a part of the growth of the whole, and you're here to not fight the end, not fight the dead end of whatever is being presented to you as it's not working in this way. It's not working with that mindset. It's not working with that point of view. It's not working. Sometimes when we have been in this Four of Pentacles place of preserving for so long, there's a healing feeling with licking our wounds. You know, when we've been assaulted by the universe and we're licking our wounds and we're in a place of licking our wounds, like we can stay there forever because it feels like love. And it is love. It is the love of this process of bringing healing. But when we try to prolong what it is to heal, or we try to prolong what it is to hang on to, you know, non-change, whatever, like not letting the change, not letting the loss like complete itself, that can be a relationship where the destroyer is kind of taunting us, you know, like you bringing like a realm of fear after fear after fear, you know, kind of pushing us into a new horizon, pushing us into a new perspective, because the old way of being, the old way of looking at things, the old way of doing things has presented its end. And you know, so with this need to let go of trying to preserve every single thing, need to let go of trying to prevent change at all costs, need to let go of fearing the uncomfortable situation or the uncomfortable moment of like a new horizon, you know. So you're invited to take this broader perspective with the star card here, because there are big emotions that I'm feeling with that Four of Pentacles energy, you know, especially with the warrior. The warrior is an archetype. The warrior is an archetype. That means the warrior is a god. And that means that that's something that we have to incorporate into ourselves as we are in war. You know, and when we are in survival mode, the god, the archetype of the warrior comes in and says, get up, let's go. You're not staying down. We're going to fight. We're going to fight for your future. You know, when that is the archetype that you have been with for so long and that you love and that you count on and that you are in a relationship with, that you refer to for every decision, that you are in co-creation with, when that's the archetype that you have formed a sense of yourself around, it can be really hard to come home from the war. But that rainbow speaks of a time of coming home from the war. That rainbow speaks to a different relationship with the destroyer. It's not that you have to let go of all of the wisdom that you've gained related to like never letting your guard down in a public place. You know, like that hypervigilance doesn't help you create it. That keeps you on a path with inviting destruction. Like that is a truth. But with the Nine of Swords, because it's like your mind lives in defense. You don't want to have your mind living in defense and strategy. You will live by the sword and die by the sword if you live in defense and strategy. You want a holistic experience of many archetypal things, not just like winning battle after battle after battle without any end of those battles in sight. So like where you have gained wisdom from the warrior, where you have gained a type of relationship with creation and destruction that is in somehow defense of, in preservation of, you're invited with agape to remove this strategy. Look at the chessboard here. To remove yourself from this strategy, to remove yourself from a mind of defenses, and step into a place of wonder and oneness with the cosmology of the whole, focus, really focusing yourself on the influences that are going to like help you expand as a person, as a being. And that main influence being the version of yourself that is infinite, whatever it is that is breathing life in and out, creation and destruction, in relationship with what it means to co-create with you in all forms, in all shapes, and all sizes. And why this relationship is intimate here with agape and the mirror and the Father. The Ace of Cups, the Three of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords in reverse. So I said unity is the code, right? That's the important thing to remember. But there's all like, you know, I always refer back to the figure eight as being the shape of an archetype. I always refer back to the figure eight as being the shape of the archetype that is God, and the way that I see it. And I don't know why. Okay, so I mean, I'm sure that there's writings and, you know, the symbol is forever, and, you know, I'm sure that there's a lot out there, but I see it that way in visions. And so with the Five of Swords being about put down the fight, put down the wins and the losses, put down the defenses. What was cool, like we have the Jesus story coming up because it was a defiance point. It was a breaking point in history in terms of, I don't know why that's coming up. It's just I see it, right? And so when we think about that moment in time, that part of the mythology, and especially as it pertains to scripture and holy writing throughout all traditions and every belief system and all the gods, you're talking about eyewitness accounts of relating with gods and the God and the God. And so whenever we're thinking about those eyewitness accounts, we're talking about somebody who related with a story, with our archetype, in a co-creative aspect, that they became like the living example of what that was. And so like the man God here, there's this pivotal point in the Jesus story. And we look at all the different stories for their wisdom, because that's what those stories give us, right? That moment when Jesus stood before Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate said, "Aren't you going to defend yourself? Aren't you going to defend yourself? You're supposed to be the Son of God." All these Roman soldiers, they come back from the field. They were sent to kill you. They come back. They say, "We couldn't kill this guy. We tried to kill this guy. We saw something. We experienced the thing. The anointing was there, and our swords fell from our hands. We wept." Like, this guy, this grand whatever the hell, the Roman emperor, right, was standing there saying, "Listen, I've heard about you. I've heard tell that my soldiers can't kill you." So now there are people out there, their whole population of the religious right of that era. There's a whole population of the fundamentalists, right, of that time, are out there, and they're chanting, "Kill the man God. Kill the thing that defies our story. Our story is more important than your experience. Kill, kill, kill," right? They were chanting out there. And so the emperor looks at Jesus and he's like, "All my soldiers, they told me they can't kill you. And those people are out there, they're chanting, they're asking me to kill you. They don't want to be confronted with a reality that confronts their supremacy of their belief. So what is this, right?" And so the emperor, said to Jesus, like, "I want to see, bring me the sparkle, bring me the zhuzh. Where's this anointing I've heard about? Because I'll save you, if you can do it, if you can defend yourself. I'm sure you can defend yourself, right?" And so Jesus just said nothing, did nothing, no defense, zero defense, brought no defense whatsoever, brought no defense. What was that moment all about? What was that moment all about? That moment was all about, and I think this is crucial, and this is why I think that preaching should be channeled. It should be channeled, right? But the channel is very important. Sometimes the channeling is charisma, one way or another. Like, you gotta have to understand that. It's not good or bad. It's a strong channel. It's charismatic. And so, when we have a strong channel like that, and what we're seeing here is, a moment to pause and really pay attention to the resonance in what the story is speaking about. That moment of not defending yourself is also moving you toward what it means to really encounter the nature of God. Because it's the nature of nature, or the nature of man, the destructor, the destroyer, that kind of determines the power of any message, the power of any, the number of days in any lifespan, the limits therein. That's what this Father, that's what Saturn, that's what the dead end is really speaking to. When we have that moment with the destroyer, where we're looking at the destroyer and we're going to say, "You can destroy me. I'm just a breath in and a breath out. I've seen the face of death, and it is creation. I have seen that every ending provides a beginning, and with every beginning is a new life. And I'm not afraid. I dance with you." Like, when we see that, it's no cause to give up. It's actually, it's cause to step in on the potential of the moment that you're sitting in, the place and the life that you're in, a sense of yourself as the infinite, like, breathing kaleidoscope that makes up the character and the shape of God. Think about the co-creation of every inspiration and the potential of every ancestor that came before, and the gods that informed them, and everything that expresses itself with you in the way of laughter, connected to a chain of DNA that goes back all the way to the first person to express laughter in that way, that you do now, that is infinite. Like, when we are able to sort of look at these dead ends and not see doom and gloom and a cause for hopelessness, but rather an expansion on what we think we're capable of, what we think is possible for us to have and participate with. When we shed the stories about the expectations of the beauty standards and the wealth standards and every other stupid standard, and when we step into an infinite point of view with that agape, we call that spirit of inspiration in. We get that view of the cosmos and cosmology. Kind of like stepping out of time a little bit. Sort of stepping out of a worldview that is all about, what you're capable of in terms of these, like, limitations, and into a worldview that is like primal. And that might be what we see emerging for you. But we, that doesn't take us out of the practical application here with the Three of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups. What we're hearing is that the Ace of Cups, which is again agape, Ace of Cups and agape. You want to know what the Ace of Cups means if you really break it down archetypally, and when you see the Ace of Cups, like what I always see it as being very particularly is agape, the love of God that informs all love. And so the shape and size of love. Love is a substance, an alchemy, a thing that predated you. It's going to exist after you. It comes through you, it moves through you, but you don't own it, you don't hold it, you don't command it. It's not of your creation and only of your creation. It's something you participate with. And the love of God is something that participates with you. That's the agape. It takes the form that you in some ways give it. You give it life with how you bring it into the world through you, with you, how you cultivate it, how you nourish it, how you decide to encounter and participate and expand that aspect of God in your life. And so you're always relating to the gods and God in the form of these, like the natural forces that existed before and after you. And so like when we have that broader cosmology, and that's what a spiritual walk is. A spiritual walk is not about prosperity outcomes. A spiritual walk is about an encounter with the infinite that leaves you impervious, unaffected by outcomes. Not because they're bad or good and you're only having good ones because you're somehow rewarded, or they're bad because you fell off the faith wheel. No, like you're co-creating with the universe. You're stepping into archetypal stories as they present themselves, and you're bringing the power of God as you channel it in, and you're transforming the substance of the alchemy of whatever it is that encounters you and that you encounter by way of your belief and your perspective and the way that you bring it into the world. So as you're co-creating, right? You're co-creating. And so that's what the dead end is providing. And that's what it means to say, like, I don't know what the story is, but I can't fight it. I can't overcome it. I can't change the story as it stands in relationship to me. I am where I am. I am dealing with what I'm dealing with. And the only thing I can do is call in the inspiration, call in the alchemy of all the things that I want to participate with. Put boots on the ground and take that groundswell of deep information from that Scorpio sun, that stuff that you know is true of your emotional landscape, and apply it to the hard-earned truths of the work that has to be done, boots on the ground in your life, strategy, discipline, Saturn. But this is not against you. This is the architecture that is bringing you to a place that isn't a dead end, but is a point of new creation. And so I want to pull cards on this dead end, because this Three of Pentacles is about something that you are building in the way of a cathedral. Like, it's on the earth, it's pentacles, it's the thing that you're building, the structure of the thing that you're building, the blueprint of the life that you are creating for yourself. The tangible reality of what you're actually going to tangibly experience based on the efforts and whatever goes into, like, think about a recipe, the ingredients of what you are putting into your experience, your perspective, the life you want to build for yourself. Everything that causes you to be a warrior and fight for yourself, and the strategy therein, the wisdom behind it, and the peace with the rainbow of knowing that you're not doing this by yourself. You never did it by yourself. You never were born by yourself. You certainly weren't given the place that you live, the parents that you had, and the opportunities that you had by yourself. You weren't, inspired by stuff by yourself. Those inspirations, they came to you one way or another to participate with and through and in. And so when you know that you are in collaboration with whatever is breathing in and out, and that thing that's breathing in and out is the cosmos. You didn't make it. So you don't get to say what it is capable of. You did not make the cosmos. So you do not get to say what it is capable of. And so when you take 3 steps back and you look and you say, like, oh, wait a minute, the dead end. You don't get to say what the cosmos is capable of. That's a dead end. Whoa, that's a limit. You don't. If a comet wants to hit, you don't know saying that. You don't get to say what the universe is capable of. So you're going to hands off that. Now who are you? Now what are you a part of? Does that disempower you? No, it shouldn't. It won't. Look at the tree here. Look at the first plane within what would become. of planes. I had to do that because I you know, the limitations with the Five of Cups and the Five of Wands. You see this Five of Cups and this Five of Wands. I don't know why I have alerts coming in, but I just saw 44444444, the ancestors, the guides. There is something to be said here with the Five of Wands and the Five of Cups, that we are under attack. And we know that we're under attack, right? This is not fear-mongering, and we're not going to talk about it in a fear-mongering way. We're never going to tell a story where we are powerless because we don't believe in our powerlessness, because we are children of the divine in one way or another. Like, this is where we bring that perspective into whatever we're looking at, and we have the power to change it from within, right? So when we see Five of Cups, which is all is lost, there's no hope. Look at the garbage pit that, you know, once was this and now is nothing. All of these hopes, all of these dreams, all of these efforts, sunk costs. Look at the Five of Wands: competitions, idiot people, stupid annoyings. Why do we have to, like, what the heck, you know, reward to the least fit, right? In a system that is upside down, only the worst get rewarded. That is true. Right? The success is predicated by somebody else's capacity to be awful most of the time. Not all the time, okay? So but a lot of the time, right? And so, like, not all the time, right? You can resonate and unresonate with, like, whatever the things that are being said are. But we have here, you know, with the Five of Wands and the Five of Cups, a call to, this is all that this leads to. Focusing your energy on trying to sort of like overcome a war where nobody wins, because everyone is delusional, you know, and trying to sort of think that you can bring justice here in this way. I don't know, that I just like lost the thread. That channel kind of stopped with the dead end. As soon as we saw this Five of Cups and this Five of Wands, it shuts down our connection with God, because God is a force of the universe that is in unity with itself, in coherence with itself. It's not fighting with somebody. It's not fighting with itself. You know, like, if you're fighting with the way things are, if you're fighting with the life that you have, like, yes, we are at war. Okay, now I can see it. It took me a minute to come back to that because it knocked me out. We are at war with people who are fighting with us, right? So community as one. If we're an ecosystem, then the elephant should not be fighting with the toad at all. The elephant should not be at war with the toad, because the toad has a job in the ecosystem, just like the elephant has a job in the ecosystem. And there's no sense in an ecosystem that runs in opposition to itself. Instead of trying to cultivate life, instead of trying to grow food in forests, we're somehow cutting down the forests to grow food. Like, there's a way in which, like, we can see the war with community, the war with ecosystem, the war that we are in with, you know, the stupidest people, you know, being rewarded because you can see the way that they're mishandling resources, and the people who would handle the resources the best being those that are in ecosystem with each other. And so the many handle resources for the many more than, like, whatever. I don't need to get into the physics of it, but here is where everything is an acknowledgement that, yeah, no, nothing makes sense, and we're being forced to do something incoherent because the people who have the power are making for a destructive force of incoherence, right? Like, that's all crazy. I don't know why it's coming through. It's true, but I think that you need to not see that truth as all powerful. And I think that you need to stop focusing on that truth as having the ultimate power to destroy the everything. That is not the dead end. And when we look in the mirror and we think about this infinite sense of self, we are disqualifying the like disgusting defense. You know, you're forced into defense. You're gonna have to give all of your life force to the idiot, to the stupid who doesn't know what your potential is or value it, right? And, like, that's a destructive force on your life, and it can make you feel despair. And you could think, like, I have to go to a job that makes no sense. I have to participate in a system that is incoherent, and I have to do it because there's a system in place to force me, and that system is run by the cruel and the stupid and the blind and the incoherent. And we know that they're incoherent because of the way that they're doing things. There's not a debate. There is not a lack of judgment with this truth. To build something new on the rubble of what we're seeing, we have to not falsely empower those possessed by an incoherence that is putting us at war with each other in one way or another. Social systems of domination that are meant to destroy incoherently because that is their design, and we know it. We know it. We know it. And those that operate in the frenzy of fear are its victims. And so your guys want to say, like, don't be a part of that. This won't work. It's not going to work. Social change, is possible, but we do fight with principalities of spirit more than we do like flesh and blood. And you can argue that, but this is a spiritual practice and a spiritual message, and it's the guides bringing the information through, from the spiritual realm that says you're not powerless. You're not powerless. What is in the egg, the seed contains the seed, the acorn. Gosh, this message is getting hard to push through. The acorn contains the tree. The design is complete. You're not responsible for the future, but you are responsible for yourself and how you channel things into the world based on the story that you find yourselves in, the capacity to create that you have, the resources that you're given to create with. That's the whole tamale. And so if you're forced to a 9 to 5 that you don't want to be in, that's going to be the paintbrushes, that's going to be the colors, that's going to be the scaffolding, that's going to be all the materials that you have to create with. And it might seem like nothing, but you're invited to channel divine energies, channel the gods into that structure to create with. And whether they destroy it to bring in something new, or they make something of it that you never thought it could be, you're not powerless. You are in co-creation. And that's where we're able to put the swords down. That's where we're able to not defend ourselves anymore. Because we're going to make with what we have something beautiful no matter what. Because we are part of the force that breathes in and out with an ever-evolving cycle of when it's over, it's okay. The dead end, what begins anew, is eternal. I'm a part of what's eternal. You're a part of what's eternal. And so like that's like a really highfalutin, big message, but we are the super moon. We are actually channeling, energies that are bringing us something to work with tangibly in the circumstances that we're in. Because that is what the gods do. That is what God does. And so your relationship with the destroyer is important. When it comes to unity, there's an aspect of opposite and equal in relationship to each other when we think about what unity ends up being and the substance of it. And so you're invited into unity, and what unity is a relationship between what is new and forming, the acorn, and what will eventually become what is infinite, the tree. Its form that's going to take infinitely. That tree may come and go tangibly, materially, but the form that it is at its apex is the form that it will hold at a level of experience, at a level of always. And so you're not meant to fight with the process that you're in the life that you're having, in the person that you are, in the circumstances that you have moved through, in the circumstances that you can creatively and tangibly co-create into to create new and different. And this is how, it kind of works. And so your guides are saying, like, don't fight with what is happening right now, okay? Because look what flew out again for us. We tried to put it back in. We shuffled a number of times. Together again. 5 of Cups, 5 of Wands. Your guides want you to come into this unity place of 2 of Cups. What is the opposite of unity? 5 of Wands. Fighting. Competition. What is the opposite of unity? 5 of Cups. Giving up. Focusing on the loss and what was in the past, and casting the future based on the past. We get stuck in that loop. That's quicksand. I'm guaranteeing it's quicksand. And so what I'm asking you to do here with the 3 of Pentacles, building tangibly into the experience of the project called humanity, with the tools that you have in front of you, the paintbrushes, the scaffolding of the story that you enter right where you are. Not helplessly. That's 5 of Cups. Not hopelessly. That's 5 of Cups. Not defeated, that's Five of Wands. Not having to strain and fight against the circumstances, that's Five of Wands too. But stepping into unity, saying, this is where I am, this is what I'm meant to breathe life into, to bring God into, all the aspects of God, love, hope. You know, God is an ecosystem, right? And so you're pulling in at the level of relating the substances that make up God. But God is all the substances, right? And so how you want to co-create into what we become collectively as an ecosystem of breathing in, you know, the potential, breathing out the lifespan, breathing in the potential, breathing out the lifespan. And that place of potential, that's the underworld, everything that's come before. All the traits in the womb that make up, you know, what expresses in the material world, the seed in the apple that instructs the apple of what's it going to become. We are in relationship with the cosmos and what is not yet, and all the potentials, in the same way that we're in relationship of what we bring through into the material experience. And we're doing this always. So take hope in that when you look at the dead end, because we're meant to. And the devil, this devil. The devil tells you there's no hope. Five of Wands, Five of Swords, Five of Swords. Put down the counting, the winning, and the losses. Put down the trying to steal from what you can get. This is all that I can get. This is all that I can have. This is all that I am. This is all that I've been given. This is the experience. I'm screwed. You know what I mean? Put that down. Okay? That's the devil. It's going to siphon the life out of you. Siphon the creative. Because you're creating no matter what. That's what manifestation is. You're creating no matter what. You are always creating, and you are co-creating at all times. You have faith in something that is making it so. And that might be in despair. That might be in hopelessness. That might be in, I'm never going to get anything. Don't have faith in that. Don't create with that story. Okay? That's the devil. It's life siphoning. Okay? That's not the power of destruction in its positive attribute. That is rotting and refusing to, like that's just a rotting, that's just rotting. Okay, that's what the devil does. The devil decomposes. And so decomposition is a slow process of change. And with the dead end, we're invited to say, we're not going to decompose. Whatever the life force is that is giving you life force, you're going to take that alchemy of life force and you're going to put dreams with it and prayers with it and pull in the alchemy to make it so. If you need hope to go in a new direction with what you're trying to create, then you have to call on the energy of hope. If you're still telling stories of hopelessness, you're not calling in the energy of hope. You're dancing with a different outcome. And you're called away from that. And you're called into something new. You know, because the moon card is about not being able to see things clearly. What are the ingredients? Yeah, and so your guides are not, there's nothing about that is condemning. It's just that this super moon that's pulling up all these deep, dark, painful reality, you know, this is what it's going to take to overcome. This is what you're feeling. This is the depth of the pain that you've suffered. And now you have to get up and somehow make something else. You know what I mean? And this is what is being demanded of you versus this is what you're feeling. That's the super moon in Taurus. The opposition, the sun and whatever. I'm always so bad at this. But I'm reading the energies. Like, you know, they're reading the energies. And I'm sure you can look at it and see the energies. But that's the point with the Temperance and the Ace of Wands. That's what we're trying to find a balance on here. Because like this opposition, this tension with like Scorpio and that transformative, like deep emotional energy here that's rising up, this Ace of Wands, the passion, you know, what's it going to take? I'm going to bring it. It has to be tempered by like, what is it going to take to structure things in a way that I can bring these inspirations with the Ace of Wands, this hope, this need, even this drive like forward. Temperance, you know, how do I overcome the dead end that says I can't do it this old way. I have to do it a new way. Two of Cups, you are in unity. That there's something inspiring you. There's a bigger picture at play. There's always the life that inspires your life. Create with that. Create with that. Page of Wands. It's a little bit of a climb. Temperance, to bring in this balance. King of Swords. And you're going to have to really think about this in terms of a life plan, and that you offer yourself in a loving way. And your guides want you to have reasonable expectations. Number one, you know, Taurus, supermoon, Knight of Swords, they're saying, yes, take action 100%, bring the fire to it. There's a reason why you're being agitated into the position that you're being agitated in. There's a reason for the uncertainty, you know, in terms of the distance between where you feel you are and where you want to be. That's a very real feeling. And you're meant to take action on it. That's what this energy combination is all about. But, you know, you're not going to listen to the devil, and you're not going to like think about like, you know, getting like as much as you can get, and that's it, based on whatever. You're not going to do that. You do have to think about what it means to start at base camp with yourself in this moment, emotionally. Take action on meeting your goals. There is a huge wind, like, and a power. And let me get some water. Because there's something that you have to clear. It's like you have to move a boulder out of the way. I very much see, like, I see a boulder. There's something you have to clear here. And this Page of Wands is about clearing it. And there's work to clear it. That boulder is a pattern of negative thinking. That boulder is as a pattern of letting fear override all of your systems. Systems down. I'm hearing, like, as I'm seeing like Star Trek, and like the starship is hit. And when the Star Trek ship is hit, like everything is like systems down, like red alert, like I see that whole systems down here. And I see the Nine of Swords, and this way in which fear keeps on doing the Star Trek thing. I'm seeing such a clear vision of the bomb hits the ship, and then the ship is like everyone's under high alert, and there's a red flashing light. This seems to be a pattern that needs to be removed. And, you know, when I look at a pattern like that, I know that there's a powerlessness there that comes with like, okay, something traumatic happened. There's post-traumatic reactions. This is the nervous system. This is the hijacking of the body. The boat has been hit. But this has to be, you know, when we have so much fear, when we have such fear, that means that there's something about the environment that we find life-threatening. There's something about the situation that we find life-threatening. We think we can fight. We think we can battle, the warrior. There's some relationship with the destroyer. And in this message, we have this point. And I think when we think about like the power of the emotions and the fears that rise up from within you, they need to meet something stronger than they are with the dead end here. The level of power that comes in to, like with the boat, with you, I'm seeing Star Trek. When the Star Trek ship is hit and there's a red alert, there has to be some power that sublimates that feeling. When the fear is so big, there needs to be something that will sublimate the fear. And what's going to sublimate the fear for you is going to be the King of Swords. What's going to sublimate that fear is when you look at the power of the bomb that hit the ship, and you say, I am a part of an ecosystem that breathes in and out. You cannot kill me. There is nothing that can threaten my life. There's something that can threaten the story that I'm in. But when something threatens the story that I am in, the power of the Creator comes in and creates of what has been transformed and what will be transformed. And I'm a part of that transformation, and I dance with that transformation. And I know that when the destroyer comes in, I co-create into what it means to let go. And when creation comes in, because it always does, because these two, creation and destruction, travel together, opposite, united. See the unity, right? Whatever this thing that is working itself out through me, through you, through the circumstance, through the story, you invite that experience, because you know the power of creation, that you have to channel all the forces of the universe into that circumstance to make something new. That you are that circumstances is the dead end. You're stuck with it. The powers of the universe that you travel with and co-create with, and the inspiration and all of the forces of what you have accessible to channel into the circumstance, and the faith that you bring sublimates the fear. You say to that fear, I see you. I see what you're saying. I see what you're threatening. But I know what I am. I know that I am infinite. I know I'm part of the ecosystem, and I know what I create. and what co-creates with me, and I call in, and then you call in, and you bring in life, and you sublimate that fear. You put that fear in its place. You know that that fear is nothing compared to what you're capable of, and the blueprint that you were born to live through, and the direction that you are going up, right? And so you're not going to fall under the weight of the challenge. And that's your strength. That's where you plant your confidence. You don't plant your confidence in your ability to control outcomes, because that's trying to play a part that's not yours. Sure, you have goals and you have ideas about what the outcome should be. That's the co-creation into the space of like, what will this be? The circumstance is one thing. What you create into it is another. Those are two equal things. One is the inspiration. One is the outcome that you can't control. What is created of your efforts you can't control, but that doesn't stop you because you believe, right? And so that's that Knight of Cups. You believe into this space of potential, that good things can happen, that love is on offer, that growth is on offer. You put that alchemy in, and it yields. And that's what the Temperance is. The alchemy here is everything. You're the alchemist, and you're meant to work as the alchemist, and you're meant to not try to control every ingredient. You're meant to work with the ingredients as you see them, as you encounter them, as you like feel them, because that's the great work that you're a part of. And so that's where we're going to leave this message. We're going to leave it on a hopeful note. Yes, you are the warrior, but you're being called into a place of alchemizing everything that's been. Taking that energy of the agape, that spark of life, the love of life, the force of life, calling that power into these circumstances, removing the mental blockages about what you are and are not capable of based on the past. You're going to throw that out. That's the past. That's part of the acorn and the infrastructure of the stuff that was supposed to come together to make the moment that you're in now, that holds all of the potential to bring an outcome that you're not in control of, and therefore you don't need to know. You just need to bring the faith. Be in unity with the life that you're in and build into this cathedral that is the infinite experience of you. That was such a cool channel message. I feel like the force of that was intense, right? All right, I'm going to leave it there. Sending you all love. This is not about you have to take stock of these. Get rid of the distractions. Focus. There's a miracle here in like doing it this way. So try to do it this way this week. Try to pivot back to this baseline of inspiration and this, using the energies of this super new moon, not moon, full moon. Again, like my mind is so scattered and fraggly when I'm channeling. So like whenever it's like tangible stuff, like I'm, but like that's the thing. Take these energies that we're responding to right now and see what it is to alchemize a different perspective into the same circumstances. And let's report back in the comments. Because when you're, because I think it's important to be in community that way. Don't gatekeep, okay, please, because it damns me, and I really want to grow. Let's come back and talk about what it means to engage with these energies this week in a new way and see what happens. And if you're blessed by that, continue to be a blessing to the world and to each other, and please bless this channel with your participation and your promoting, because it does actually make a difference. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you guys again soon.